After 12 heartwarming years, a brave woman discovers an incredible secret that changes everything. Sarah stood at the edge of the attic, sunlight filtering in through a dusty window, casting warm patterns on the floor. She was alone, the gentle hum of her bustling bakery, sweet embrace, a distant echo in her mind. Today was different. She felt an electric charge in the air as she opened the old boxes that held memories of yesteryears. Each creak of the wood seemed to whisper stories of love and loss. Tucked near the back, among knickknacks and forgotten toys, her fingers brushed against a delicate locket. The moment she opened it, her heart raced. Inside, a bundle of letters tied with a worn ribbon brought forth a tide of emotion she hadn't felt in years. Words penned by her husband, a soldier who fought battles both overseas and within himself, revealed a history steeped in struggle, resilience, and dreams deferred. As she read, tears spilled down her cheeks. How could she have missed this side of him? Each letter painted a haunting yet beautiful picture of a man grappling with social injustices long before he donned his uniform. His words echoed the uncertainty of dreams shattered by the weight of the world, resonating with an urgency that shook the foundation of her memories. He had fought so hard, not just for their family, but for a cause he believed in, a cause she had known nothing about. The thought made her chest tighten. What did this mean for her? The past 12 years had been an incredible journey of strength and survival. With every pastry she crafted, she poured her love and hope into the community that had embraced her and her children, Lily and Sam. Now, faced with this revelation, she was torn. The stories of her husband's struggles could challenge the very loyalty she felt to his memory. As the whispers began to circulate through Maplewood, friends turned to strangers, leaving her feeling isolated. The quaint town where laughter echoed between the tree-lined streets now buzzed with uncertainty. Some said her husband's battles should be her burden to carry alone, while others argued that his struggles deserved acknowledgement beyond what Sarah could manage. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The warmth of her bakery seemed to chill the moment someone launched a rumor that her husband's sacrifices had been in vain. Sarah felt like a storm was brewing around her as she knelt beside her children, hoping to shield them from the hurtful words. She wanted to explain, to share the truth she had discovered, but fear gripped her heart. Would they see their father's struggles as weakness? Would the town turn against them, too? Then one evening, as Sarah weathered the storm alone, a figure appeared at her door, someone who shared a shard of her husband's past. The air thickened with anticipation, her body trembled with recognition and dread. As the door creaked open, an unfamiliar face emerged, bearing news that could either mend her broken sense of identity or shatter it entirely. What would they reveal? Would this stranger show Sarah the way back to her family's dignity or plunge her deeper into doubt? The figure standing at Sarah's door was taller than she expected, a man with a furrowed brow and kind eyes. He seemed both eager and hesitant, as if he understood the weight of the moment. "I'm sorry to intrude," he said softly, his voice steady yet tinged with urgency. "My name is Mark. I served with your husband." As the name resonated in her mind, uncertainty swept through Sarah. What did Mark mean by served with? Did he know the stories hidden in those letters? Her heart raced as she attempted to steady her breath, welcoming him inside but feeling the cool draft of an unknown future. "Please," she gestured to the kitchen table, its surface still dusted with flour from the morning bake. "Tell me, what do you know?" Mark sat down as if he had known this kitchen for years. "Your husband was more than a soldier," he began, his voice a mix of reverence and sorrow. He was a leader, a voice for those who had none. We fought together, but the battles didn't just happen on the front lines. They extended into the very heart of our communities. Sarah felt her breath hitch, the words warmed and terrified her endlessly. But he never spoke of this to me. I thought he came home to leave it all behind. Mark shook his head, his eyes meeting hers with sincerity. He tried, Sarah. But the weight of what he saw and fought for clung to him. He believed in change, in fighting for justice long after his uniform was put away. He wanted that world for you and the kids. Each word drove deeper into Sarah's heart. Questions she had buried now resurfaced, filling her with both dread and clarity. Why had her husband chosen to keep this from her? Could she have supported him? What happened to him out there? Why didn't he come back a whole man? Sarah's voice trembled on the edge of a sob, longing for answers more than she wanted to carry the burden of their truths. Mark hesitated, his features shadowed by pain. He came home with battle scars that were invisible. Too many souls lost. Too many injustices. He did his best to shield you from it, but it weighed heavy on him. As the sunlight continued to set outside, shading the room with tinges of gold and amber, Sarah felt an overwhelming need for connection. Why now? She asked. Why choose to share this with me? Mark looked down, studying the weathered table, his hands traced an old scratch in the wood. Because he is gone now, and you deserve to know who he was. The man you loved was forged in those struggles. And so is the legacy he left behind. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks anew, transforming her into an unexpected determination. Here was a man offering a bridge to a past she was desperate to understand. What do I do with this? How do I honor him after everything I found? Mark studied her solemnly, his eyes unwavering. You honor him by continuing the fight he started, by embracing what he believed in. Start small, if you must. Connect your community to the causes he cared for. The warmth of Mark's presence lingered within her, pushing her toward a decision she never thought she could make. Could she really brave the whispers, the judgment, and transform her bakery into a beacon for change? Sarah paused for a moment, contemplating the weight of her next words. Would she dare share this journey with Lily and Sam? Could they all step into the legacy together? The thought sparked something inside her, a flicker of hope amid the uncertainty. And in that moment, as she gazed into Mark's eyes, another question lingered, daring to surface. What would happen if she opened the doors of sweet embrace to not just pastries, but to a movement that could reshape not just her family's future but that of the town? With a deep breath, Sarah took the first step toward answering that question. Sarah's heart raced as she processed Mark's words, a whirlwind of emotions battering against her chest. Could she really honor her husband's legacy? The idea felt wild yet invigorating. Maybe in transforming her bakery into something more, she could mend the invisible wounds left by his absence. I want to do this, she said quietly, her voice small but steady. But where do I even start? The shadow of doubt flickered across her mind, threatening to extinguish her growing flame of hope. Mark studied her thoughtfully, as if weighing the gravity of her wish. You start by connecting with the people he fought for. Hold gatherings, listen to their stories, and share yours. It's about creating a space where healing can happen, where that legacy can live on. Sarah glanced around her kitchen, her business a place of joy and comfort. Sweet Embrace had always been about homemade goodness. Could it really become a launching pad for something bigger? Her mind churned with possibilities. Community events featuring local heroes, discussions about sustainability, and maybe even resources for those struggling with their own battles. Local heroes, she whispered to herself, picturing the vibrant chatter of her townsfolk. Maybe that could bring everyone together. Mark broke into a gentle smile. Exactly. Your bakery can be a safe haven. A place for coffee, conversation, and connection. It won't be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. As they discussed ideas, the sun sank lower, creating shadows that danced around them in the warm kitchen. The flour-dusted table transformed into a strategy board, filled with possibilities. They planned community gatherings, charity drives, ways to ignite interest in the local causes her husband had believed in. But what if they reject me? Sarah asked, the uncertainty creeping back. What if the whispers of doubt overshadowed her intentions? Mark leaned forward, intensity flickering in his eyes. If they do, remember that honesty is your greatest weapon. Share your journey with them. Let them see the real you, and they won't turn away. He stood up and paced the room, his hands gesturing as he spoke. And your children Lily and Sam, bring them into this too. They will learn from you, just as you learned from their father. It will give them strength and perspective they'll carry with them always. The mention of her children sparked another wave of determination. How she longed to instill in them the values that had been so integral to her husband's life. As they wrapped up their conversation, Sarah realized a storm of anxiety churned within her, but under it, a resolve was forming that she hadn't felt in years, a fierce desire to honor her husband's memory, a brave endeavor to reshape her family legacy. The next morning, she stood in sweet embrace, the sun spilling through the windows like golden hope. It was only the beginning, she thought. She gathered her kids after school, sharing her heartbeat of dreams. Their eyes widened with excitement, and to her great relief, they embraced the idea, ready to walk this path beside her. Just as they united in purpose, an unexpected knock echoed through the bakery. The door swung open, revealing a woman with a determined look on her face, a woman Sarah thought she recognized. "Hey, can I help?" the stranger asked, stepping over the threshold, an urgency in her voice that demanded attention. In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of her new journey pressing heavily upon her chest. But alongside it, a thrilling sense of possibility raced beneath her skin. Who was this woman? And what impact would she have on Sweet Embrace's unfolding story? Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she studied the woman standing in her doorway. There was a sense of familiarity, but it took a moment for her to place the face. Lisa. Mark's friend from the service, a vibrant spirit who had shared his laughter and struggles during their time together. Lisa. Sarah exclaimed, surprise washing over her. I didn't expect to see you here. Lisa stepped inside, shaking off the chill of the outside air. I heard you were transforming this place. I wanted to help. I'm back in town for a bit, and I couldn't resist stopping by. With an excited grin, Sarah ushered Lisa to a table where her children were busy organizing colorful flyers about their upcoming community events. Lily looked up first, her eyes widening in recognition. Aunt Lisa. She shouted, racing forward to envelop the woman in a hug. That's right, sweetheart. How you've grown. Lisa replied warmly, ruffling Lily's hair before turning to Sam. And you too. Big kids now, huh? As they settled in, Sarah felt something shift. Lisa's presence brought with it a blend of familiarity and an electric energy that felt like coming home. I've been thinking of ways to honor Mark's legacy, Sarah confessed, pouring coffee for Lisa and herself while the kids animatedly shared their ideas. With every word, her anxiety slowly began to dissolve. I remember how passionate he was about making a difference, Lisa said, her voice softening. He would have been proud of you. Sarah's throat tightened. I just don't want to let him down. I want to make this place a community hub, a place of healing. But I'm still figuring out how. Lisa's eyes lit up with a spark of inspiration. We can organize some events together. I have contacts in the veteran community who would love to partner with you. We could host story sharing nights, workshops, anything that brings people together. The thought danced in Sarah's mind like a sweet melody. That could work. It might give everyone a chance to remember and share stories about Mark, she replied, excitement bubbling within her. It could help heal us all. Within moments, the bakery pulsed with renewed energy as ideas exploded around the table. They sketched out plans for a kick-off event, a local heroes night where community members could share their stories, reflect on their experiences, and build connections over warm pastries and coffee. As they brainstormed, Sarah felt the shadows of her doubt begin to fade, replaced by a sense of purpose. But then, just as quickly, a small voice whispered to her again. What if nobody shows up? But before she could voice her fears, Lisa caught her gaze, interpreting her silence. Remember, it's not about the crowd. It's about the connection. One person at a time. That is how change starts. After hours of planning, Sarah found herself brimming with ideas, her heart racing with possibility. The first step felt monumental, but Lisa's bravery encouraged her own. As the sun dipped lower, bathing Sweet Embrace in a golden light, Sarah's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Can we meet? I have something important to share about Mark, her heart thudded. Who could it be? And what were they about to reveal? With Lisa by her side and hope in her heart, Sarah braced herself for the unexpected. What secret was waiting just beyond her reach? And how would it change everything she thought she knew? Sarah's heart raced as she read the message again, her mind swirling with questions. Who could have reached out with news about Mark? The uncertainty clung to her like morning fog, thick and disorienting. Are you okay? Lisa's voice broke through her thoughts, gently pulling her back to the present. Sarah looked up into her friend's concerned eyes. It's someone messaging about Mark. They want to meet. I don't know if I'm ready for this, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. You are stronger than you think, Sarah. Meeting them could help you understand more about what he went through. You deserve to know. Lisa's reassurance felt like a warm embrace, and Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath. The bakery was abuzz with chatter and laughter as customers trickled in, the familiar scent of fresh pastries filling the air. But Sarah felt distant from it all. The warmth that surrounded her didn't seem to reach into her heart as a whirlwind of memories and emotions surged within. It was like an emotional dam ready to break. As the hours passed, Sarah busied herself, helping her children with their chores and chatting with familiar faces. But the upcoming meeting loomed in the back of her mind, a dark shadow that made her stomach twist. Mom. Can we do a lemonade stand for local heroes night? Lily's exuberant voice broke through her worries. Sarah managed a smile, appreciating her daughter's enthusiasm. Absolutely. That is a fantastic idea, sweetheart. You and Sam can run it together. With every detail they discussed, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Maybe this event could be a space where healing would begin not just for her, but for others too. Later that evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her phone poised in her hand. She knew she had to reply to the message. Taking a deep breath, she typed back a simple response, suggesting a meeting at Sweet Embrace the next day. The sun set, casting long shadows across her home, and she felt the weight of everything pressing down on her chest. What if this revelation changes the way she viewed her life with Mark? Just as she settled into bed, a second message pinged. Thank you. I'll be there at noon. And with that, a wave of anxiety washed over her. She couldn't afford to lose control now, not when things were beginning to transform. The night felt interminable. Every creak of the house made her heart race. When the clock struck midnight, her thoughts turned to everything she had built after Mark's death. She felt like an imposter sometimes. Did she truly deserve this new beginning? Morning finally arrived, but it came with a sense of heaviness. The bakery would soon be bustling with customers, yet her world felt isolated. Lisa arrived early, her energy filling the space with warmth. "Today is a big day," she said, pouring a cup of coffee, her smile infectious. "Yeah," Sarah replied, trying to master her own enthusiasm. As noon approached, the air felt electric with anticipation. Sarah wiped her hands on her apron, her heart pounding, each tick of the clock echoing in her ears. When the bell above the door chimed, she turned to see a figure stepping inside, their face shadowed, but she could already feel the gravity of the moment. "Sarah." The voice was familiar, yet distant, sending a jolt down her spine. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her pulse quickening. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that sent shockwaves through her heart. "I'm here to tell you about Mark and the truth he never shared." What truth could turn her world upside down once again? The figure stepped forward, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was Rebecca, a friend from college. They had lost touch over the years, and to see her here at this moment felt surreal. "Rebecca," Sarah whispered, the name hanging between them like an unfinished thought. "I know it's a lot to take in," Rebecca said softly, her eyes searching Sarah's face for understanding. "But I have to tell you about Mark. I know things that can explain what he went through." The noise of the bakery faded into a distant hum. Customers busily chatted and laughed, but Sarah felt like they were in a world of their own, a bubble where time had stopped. "Please, sit down," Sarah said, motioning towards a small table in the corner, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Rebecca nodded and took a seat, her expression serious yet compassionate. "I had stayed in touch with Mark after college. He was struggling more than you might know. After we graduated, life took us in different directions, and I didn't know how to reach out. But I regret not being there for him." Her voice trembled slightly with the weight of her confession. "What do you mean?" Sarah prodded gently, feeling anxiety knotting in her stomach. "Mark had secret scars he kept hidden even from me. He was dealing with so much pain, and it was hard for him to talk about it." Rebecca lowered her gaze, her voice barely audible. "He had a condition, one that made him feel trapped, like he was drowning inside his own thoughts." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. She always thought of Mark as the strong, resilient man who had supported her through thick and thin. To hear that he had been suffering made her heart ache in a way that was all too familiar. "But he never wanted to burden you with his struggles," Rebecca continued. "He felt like he had to protect you from it all. To show you only the best of himself." Silence hung in the air for a moment. Sarah's mind raced, piecing together the conversations she had with Mark over the years. The times when he had seemed distant, moments when he would smile but his eyes hinted at an underlying sadness she couldn't grasp. "Why did he never tell me?" she asked, her voice breaking. "His pride, maybe. Or the fear of losing you." Rebecca ran a hand through her hair, her eyes glistening with emotion. "He was fighting demons once he hoped would just go away if he didn't acknowledge them. But they never did." As Sarah processed this new reality, remorse trickled through her, mingling with confusion and anger. Why hadn't she pushed him to open up? Hadn't she seen the signs? "Is there more?" Sarah questioned, her voice steadying. Rebecca hesitated, biting her lip. He wanted to reach out to someone he trusted to tell them how he truly felt. But he was afraid you'd think less of him. "I would have stood by him," Sarah exclaimed, her frustration spilling over. "How could he believe I wouldn't love him even more for being honest?" "I know. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I never thought he would keep all of this from you." Rebecca's eyes brimmed with tears. "I wanted you to know the truth about him, to see the man beyond the pain." For a moment, Sarah felt lost in the storm of her emotions. The man she loved was a complex tapestry of joy and sorrow, not just the happy memories they shared. Mark had hidden parts of himself, believing it was best for her, and now she was left to reconcile that loss with the truth. "Thank you for telling me," Sarah said, her heart heavy with gratitude and sorrow. "But what do I do with this?" Rebecca leaned in closer, her voice soft yet resolute. "You honor his memory by embracing everything he was, both the light and the dark." Sarah took a deep breath, the realization settling like a stone in her heart. Was she ready to face this new understanding? As the weight of Mark's truth enveloped her, she felt a flicker of something more than hurt. It was determination. She owed it to him, to herself, to confront these demons together, even if he was gone. The door swung open, a rush of cool air sweeping in. A new customer entered, the bell ringing cheerfully. But Sarah's world felt different now, a world where secrets were laid bare, where love could withstand even the darkest truths. "Are you okay?" Lisa's voice cut through the haze, concern etched on her face as she approached. "I will be," Sarah replied, feeling an unexpected strength swell within her. "I have a lot to think about. But I'm ready to let myself feel." And with that, she glanced back at Rebecca, who nodded in understanding. What revelations awaited her in this journey of acceptance? As Sarah stepped away from the table, she felt a pull toward the unknown, a question lingering in the air: what would Mark want her to do next? The cafe bustled around her, a lively contrast to the storm brewing in Sarah's heart. She felt weighty, heavy with revelations that were simultaneously enlightening and painful. Her gaze darted around, absorbing snippets of laughter, the clinking of cups, but all she could focus on was the conversation with Rebecca. "Do you want to talk more?" Rebecca asked quietly, eyes searching for signs of distress. Sarah took a moment before answering. "I just don't understand." Her voice trailed off. "How could he hide this? Why didn't he think I could help?" "It's the nature of mental struggles," Rebecca replied, brushing a hand over her coffee cup as if gathering her thoughts. "People feel ashamed, like a burden. It's terrifying to reveal what is really happening inside. Mark loved you so much. He just didn't want to risk losing what you had." The thought hung there, wrapping itself around Sarah's heart, constricting tighter. She loved him, and part of that love was about standing by him, especially through the hard times. The knowing burned in her chest, a mixture of grief and anger battling for dominance. "I feel so lost," Sarah admitted, tears pooling in her eyes. "What do I do now? How do I move forward?" Rebecca offered a small smile, a gesture of understanding. "You live for him, Sarah. You talk to others, you help anyone who might be struggling like he did. That is how you keep his spirit alive." The warmth of determination ignited within Sarah. "I can do that," she said, her voice steadying. "I need to." And just like that, she began to plan. Each step forward was like anchoring a piece of herself back together, stitching her heart over the wounds that had opened. "Maybe I could start a support group or something. For those who need to talk. So no one else feels alone like he did," she suggested, some excitement creeping into her tone. "I think that is a great idea," Rebecca replied, leaning in. "You could make a real difference, reach people before they get too far down their path. Mark would be proud of you." They shared a moment of silence, the understanding between them palpable. "Thank you for coming," Sarah said finally, her heart feeling just a bit lighter. "This means more than you know." Rebecca nodded. "I'm here whenever you need me. Call me if you want to talk more about Mark, or just to hang out." "Sure," Sarah replied, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. "Honestly, I could use a friend right now." As they stood to leave, a familiar face walked in, the last person Sarah expected to see. It was Caroline, an old acquaintance from college, looking around with confusion before spotting Sarah. "Sarah, is that you?" she called out, her voice inflected with surprise. Caught off guard, Sarah forced a smile. "Hey, Caroline," she called back, attempting to mask the whirlwind of thoughts racing through her mind about past friendships. "Wow, it's been ages. What are you doing here?" Caroline approached the table, her innocent curiosity mingling with the chaos of Sarah's emotions. "Just catching up with an old friend," Sarah said, glancing over at Rebecca, who was smiling encouragingly. But as Caroline's words swirled about, Sarah's thoughts turned to the unrevealed truths in her own life. The ones she had yet to confront regarding Mark's absence. As the three women engaged in small talk, Sarah felt the edges of her doubts push against her resolve. Could she open up about her struggles and the unresolved pain of Mark's secret? While laughter rang out, Sarah felt a deep urge to share her truth, a part of her igniting with urgency. "Caroline," she began, her voice small yet resonating with determination. "There is something important I have to tell you." What weighty truth was Sarah ready to reveal? And would it unlock even more hidden layers of pain or healing? Sarah's heart raced as she fought the lump in her throat. The bustling cafe faded, the warm chatter and laughter of patrons drowning into a muffled background hum. She could feel Rebecca's eyes on her, full of support, yet heavy with expectation. "Sarah." Caroline's tone shifted, sensing the gravity of the moment. "What is going on?" Taking a deep breath, Sarah made eye contact with Rebecca, who nodded encouragingly. There was no turning back now. "Caroline, there is something you need to know about Mark, my boyfriend," she said, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. The smile on Caroline's face wavered, confusion flickering across her features. "Okay, what is it?" He struggled with depression. "I just found out how deep it really went." Each word weighed down on her chest, threatening to crush her resolve. "And I didn't know. I didn't help him like I should have." Caroline's eyes widened, and for a moment, she seemed lost in her thoughts. "I'm so sorry, Sarah," she said softly, reaching out to squeeze her shoulder. "That must have been so difficult for you." Sarah closely observed Caroline's response, hoping for understanding but tinged with fear of a reaction she couldn't predict. "But that is not all," she continued, feeling the urgency rise again. "He didn't talk about it, you know. He kept it hidden until it was too late." "That is heartbreaking," Caroline whispered, her voice barely audible above the clamor of the cafe. "Was it sudden?" "Not exactly," Sarah sighed, sadness curling in her belly. "He'd been fighting it for a long time. I wish I could have been there more for him. Instead, he felt like he had to shoulder it alone." Rebecca still stood beside her, a steady presence. Noticing Caroline's eyes tear up, Sarah felt a mix of confusion and relief. "I remember Mark from college," Caroline said. "He always seemed so bright and full of life. I had no idea anything was wrong." "That is how it looked," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But the bright ones often hide the most." A moment of silence passed between them, the unspoken weight of their words hanging heavy. Sarah took a deep breath, determined to shift the conversation into something constructive. "I want to help others who feel like he did," she finally said. "I'm thinking of starting a support group. To talk about mental health openly, so no one has to hide like he did." Caroline nodded slowly, her expression softening. "That sounds incredible, Sarah. People need to hear this. You could really make a difference." Sarah could feel a slow smile grow on her face, despite the pain it was rooted in. It was a flicker of hope amidst the shadows clinging to her heart. "Thanks," she said, feeling her chest swell with warmth. "But I need your help too. It's hard to do this alone." When Caroline smiled at her, it was full of encouragement, and for a moment, the heaviness of grief felt lighter. Count me in. Let us make sure Mark's story helps others. I'd love to be part of this. The rapid noise of the cafe surged back into focus, but Sarah held on to that moment of clarity, the promise of change feeling tangible in the air. As they exchanged contact details and made plans, Sarah felt lighter than she had since Mark's passing. Yet an underlying question lurked in the edges of her thoughts: what other hidden truths lingered just out of reach? Would unveiling the secrets in her heart lead to healing, or would they drag her deeper into sorrow? It was time to find out, and as she stepped outside into the crisp air, determination bubbling up, Sarah wondered who else needed to be reached. The cool breeze kissed Sarah's cheeks as she stepped outside. The weight of the cafe's chatter faded, but its warmth lingered in her heart. She felt a renewed purpose blossoming within her, like the first light of dawn breaking through the darkness. Mark may have been gone, but his story would not remain silent. With each step down the sidewalk, she could see it a space where people could gather, share their stories, feel safe. A community rallied around understanding. Sarah could visualize the conversations, the shared laughs and tears. She wanted to be the bridge connecting those in need. "Hey, I just thought of something." Rebecca's voice broke through her thoughts, and Sarah turned to find her friend still beside her. What if we made it more than just a support group? What if we created an event? A mental health awareness day or something? Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Yes. That is brilliant. Sarah felt the rush of adrenaline course through her. We could have workshops, guest speakers, even activities that encourage people to express themselves. Art, music, yoga, really anything that gets the conversation going. Rebecca beamed. Count me in for planning. I can handle the social media side of things, promote it on my platforms. We can reach so many people. Their enthusiasm mixed with the urban hustle around them, making Sarah's heart race with a new kind of energy. Yet, amidst the growing excitement, a shadow lurked. What if their efforts weren't enough? What if people still felt alone? Let us not forget about the real stories, Sarah said, her voice dropping. It's important we highlight individual experiences. People need to see they're not alone in what they feel. Rebecca nodded, her expression shifting to a serious focus. We should reach out to people who knew Mark, too. His friends, anyone who might be willing to share their struggles. That could really resonate with others. It was a bold idea that tugged at Sarah's chest. Could she risk unveiling more of her own emotions? Sharing Mark's story was one thing, but inviting others to share their pain felt like crossing a threshold she hadn't anticipated. Okay, but it's going to take a lot of courage, for all of us, Sarah whispered. What if some stories are too hard to hear? What if it hurts more than it helps? Rebecca put a reassuring hand on Sarah's arm. It will be hard, but that's the point. Vulnerability is what connects us. It's not about having all the answers, it's about creating a space where others can feel safe enough to share. Remember, the light comes after the dark. In the growing warmth of their conversation, a flicker of hesitation glimmered in Sarah's heart. But what if someone gets overwhelmed? What if we can't help them like we wish we could? We'll have resources, Rebecca assured her. Hotlines, professionals on standby, even just us as ears. We won't leave anyone behind. As they shared more ideas, the sun dipped lower in the sky, the day drawing to a close. But questions echoed in the back of Sarah's mind. Would the voices they invited be embraced or push them away? Was she ready to face even more grief in the effort to shed light on others' darkness? Leaving behind the safety of her own pain promised both risk and reward. But Sarah knew deep down, the rewards could be profound. That night, her thoughts whirled like autumn leaves in a gust of wind. The memories of Mark kept spiraling through her mind. They were joyful but now tinged with a bittersweet edge. She resolved to call his sister tomorrow. Maybe sharing his story with her would unlock the door to more healing, or possibly lead to more questions Sarah wasn't certain she was ready to face yet. As sleep beckoned, she wondered about the hidden truths still to be uncovered. What new discoveries might await her? And above all, what other secrets from the past could tie the initiative together? So many threads were waiting to be pulled. The next morning greeted Sarah with a sense of urgency bubbling beneath her skin. The potential of what lay ahead filled her with a mix of excitement and dread. She knew today would be pivotal in not just her healing but in honoring the memory of Mark, her husband, her partner, and now, an unexpected catalyst for change. With every beat of her heart, she felt the heaviness of the past compelling her to take action. As she unlocked the bakery doors, the familiar scent of fresh pastries wafted through the air, a scent that felt like a warm hug, inviting her to face the day. The sun poured through the windows, illuminating the space where she envisioned a new future. "Okay, Sarah," she whispered to herself, gathering strength. "Let's do this." She picked up her phone and dialed Mark's sister, Emily. Sarah felt her heart race as it rang. Would she understand? Would she share Mark's fears, or would it open old wounds? The moment Emily answered, a sense of calm washed over her. "Sarah. Hi. It's been a while. How are the kids?" Emily's warm voice filled the air. "They're doing well, busy helping me at the bakery, but there is something I really need to talk to you about." There was a pause, a hesitation heavy with uncertainty. "Of course, what is it?" Sarah took a breath, steeling herself. "I found out things about Mark after he passed. Things I had no idea about. I think it's important for both you and me to talk." The line was silent, and Sarah could almost hear Emily's thoughts racing. "Okay," she finally replied, her voice steady. "When can we meet?" "Today." The words spilled out before she could second-guess it. "Sure. I can come by the bakery in an hour." As they hung up, Sarah felt a surge of both relief and apprehension. Would this conversation deepen their bond or fracture it further with the weight of their shared loss? She needed it to be a stepping stone, a unifying moment that transformed their grief into purpose. An hour later, Emily stepped into sweet embrace, her eyes scanning the familiar place before settling on Sarah. They exchanged a brief but heartfelt smile. "Hi, it's so good to see you," Sarah said softly, motioning to the table where they had shared laughter and cake during happier times. "Hi," Emily returned, her expression respectful. They sat together, the silence cloaked in unspoken memories hanging between them. "I heard that you found out things about Mark," Emily began, her voice steady yet fragile. "It's been hard for me to talk about it too. The weight of his struggles is heavy for all of us." Sarah felt a prick of emotion. "I just found out from someone who knew him well. He was fighting his demons for so long, and I never saw it, never understood how deep his pain ran." Tears pooled in Emily's eyes, and Sarah felt her heart break open. "I should have been there for him. We loved each other so much, but he kept everything hidden. I want to honor him, to share his story, especially with the community." Emily's face brightened with understanding. "You know, he always wanted to make a difference. If he had the courage to fight those battles alone, maybe we should find the courage to share his truth together." "Exactly. That is what I'm hoping to do," Sarah said, her pulse quickening. "I'm planning an event, a mental health awareness day. I want to invite people to share their stories, to break the silence that swirled within him and so many others." As Sarah spoke, she felt a fire glowing within her, an energy that came from knowing that Mark's legacy could become a beacon of hope for others dealing with similar struggles. "I'd love to help," Emily replied, her voice strong and fierce. I can connect with our family and friends to share their experiences. Together, we can build something incredible for him. They exchanged ideas, their voices mingling in a harmony of purpose, transforming sorrow into action. The excitement that built in them filled the bakery with promise, as if the very walls responded to the determination radiating from their hearts. That night, as Sarah lay in bed, the warmth of the day enveloped her. Together, they could create a ripple effect that would honor Mark's memory in a constructive way, empowering others to speak their truths and reach out instead of camouflaging their pain. The following weeks began to unfold like a dream. Mark's friends and their family gathered around Sweet Embrace, brainstorming ideas for the awareness event and sharing stories that echoed with heartfelt intensity and vulnerability. Sarah felt a communal spirit take root, people leaning on each other, fostering connections, and allowing the love for Mark to bridge gaps and heal open wounds. As the day of the awareness event dawned, the bakery transformed into a hub of activity. Colorful banners proclaimed hope, and tables bore flyers filled with resources, tears, and laughter cascaded together as connections sparked like bright fireworks in the evening sky. Mark's story became a thread weaving through the fabric of their community, and, like Sarah, others began to embrace their own journeys openly and honestly. Finally, before Sarah took to the small stage set up outside, she took a moment to gather her thoughts. The crowd grew, their faces filled with anticipation. Emily stood at her side, offering a reassuring smile. "Why are we here?" Sarah began, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "We are here to honor my husband, Mark, and to share the power of connection. He fought battles we may never fully understand, but he taught us that it's okay to share our struggles, to lean on each other, to reach out, and to let others in." The crowd murmured in agreement, and the warmth of compassion enveloped them like a tender embrace. And so I invite you, let us break that silence. Let us create our own stories of resilience. With every word, Sarah felt lighter. She could finally breathe, shedding the weight of fear. In the eyes of her community, she saw strength mirrored back at her. As stories were shared, some filled with pain and others brimming with triumph, Sarah realized this was what Mark would have wanted. Each narrative serving as a reminder that healing was a collective journey, not one traveled alone. The evening ended in an explosion of hope, conversations flowing freely, new friendships forming. Each moment was a step toward transforming grief into something powerful, something healing. As the last guests departed and the sun dipped low, casting golden light upon her bakery, Sarah felt a profound sense of peace. Together, they had not only honored Mark, but they had also created a space where stories could ring out, offering a lifeline to those who felt lost just as her husband had. As she locked the doors of Sweet Embrace for the night, Sarah took a deep breath, fully aware of the significance of their shared journey. And in her heart, she embraced not just the echoes of the past but the promise of a hopeful future, one of connection, understanding, and love. This was her new beginning, and she felt ready to embrace it all. Now is the time to act. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this soul-stirring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.